Hey guys, welcome to episode 3 of Quickfreeze Versus. Today I'm going to be playing a game that was actually requested to me by a fellow YouTuber. His name is Renegade Muffin, and that game is Batman for the NES. Now this game was roughly based on the 1989 movie of the same name, which is actually playing behind me right now. And this game was made by Sunsoft, and there was an actual prototype of this game that has some minor differences from this one. First off, it has different cutscenes and also power-ups. But the cutscenes in this game were inspired by the Batman story, The Killing Joke. And the major difference of this game between the prototype Batman was that the final boss of the game was not actually the Joker. It was a villain named Firefly. Now let me tell you a little about Batman's history. In early 1939, Superman was huge in Action Comics, which prompted editors to create more superhero titles, hoping it would just be just as popular. Now, Bob Kane created Batman, and he got his inspiration from fellow films like The Bat Whisperer, The Mark of Zorro, and even got inspiration by Leonardo da Vinci's earlier creations and blueprints. And from all that, created the Batman. And that's what he was actually called back then. He wasn't just called Batman. He was called the Batman. So, Batman made his first appearance in Detective Comics 27. On a side note, that's where the name DC came from, is Detective Comics. Not a lot of people know about that, but I just wanted to throw that in there. That's where DC came from, is Detective Comics. But anyway, Batman wasn't like your ordinary superhero, meaning that he didn't have any like superpowers. He didn't have any like amazing origin story from like another planet, or he was born that way. He was just a guy who relied on his gadgets and the cover of Nightfall. And upon being created, Batman spent over a year just fighting thugs and mobsters until 1940, in Batman #1, he was introduced to a very unique psychopath who fell into a tank of chemical waste. You probably already know who I'm talking about, but I'm just going to say it anyway. That's right, the Joker. The only villain I know personally that other villains are afraid of. But more like Batman, the Joker was created and inspired by films by Bob Kane. And one of the major inspirations for the Joker was the silent film The Man Who Laughed. So, there's like a brief history of Batman and the Joker. So, let's play some Batman for the NES, see if I can beat this thing, and we'll have fun. Same rules apply. This game has continues, so I am allowing myself 10 continues to beat this game. If I have to go over 10 continues, then I've considered it a failure. Batman has kicked my butt. But anyway, here we go, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, here we are. This is Batman for the Nintendo Entertainment System. First off, we're presented with Batman as he slowly steps out of the darkness and into the title screen. we're presented with the first ever cutscene with the Batmobile racing down the streets of Gotham City, which is actually the first level of this game. Okay, here it is, the first level of Batman. You may already guess, Batman for the Nintendo Entertainment System is a side-scroller platformer game where you play as Batman battling various crooks and bad guys within the Batman universe. Batman has multiple weapons. One is a bat disc that shoots out 3 discs at a time. He also has a bat dart gun which just shoots a single bullet out towards enemies, and then he also has the typical batarang which he can throw multiple times in quick succession to destroy any enemy. Now as you play through the game, you get various power-ups. These power-ups include a missile icon that gives you 10 extra ammunition for your bat gadgets. The more ammunition you get, the more ammo you have for those gadgets. Other power-ups include a B icon that gives you 1,000 points towards your score. You can press start to view your score. The last power-up is a heart, which refills 1 bar of Batman's health. Now you may already tell that the controls and the cutscenes of this game are much like the Ninja Gaiden series. But unlike the Ninja Gaiden series, the controls in Batman are a little delayed. The jump takes about half a second to respond, and when you attack, say with punching, you have to start punching slightly before the enemy comes towards you. Otherwise, you're just going to get hit and knocked back. The music and sound effects in this game are absolutely amazing. Just listen to the soundtrack. But here we are, this is the first stage boss. He's called the Flying Beetle Man, but as I mentioned before, he almost looks just like Firefly. And he's really easy to defeat. All he really does is just kind of fly around the top of the screen, shooting down these fireballs. But if you just stay to the left corner of the screen and throw your flying disc or your batarang at him when he comes down, he's really actually easy to defeat. And it's almost laughable. But at this point I kind of ran out of my weapons, so it might be a little difficult. I have to like inch my way a little closer and just hit him when he comes down, and I got him. So yeah, so there's the first level of Batman for the NES. On to stage 2, which is the sewer level. Okay, this is stage 2 of Batman on the NES. Just like the first stage, which was the Gotham streets, this is the sewers. And it's pretty much the same thing. You just kind of go through battling these slow-moving, I don't know, green Wolverine trooper guys. But this level actually does get tricky from the first level, because now we got more specific jumps that we have to be careful of. And if you don't jump correctly, you will overshoot your jumps and fall into this green ooze. And once you fall in here, it's rather difficult to get back out because it slows you down. And I died, so this is actually my first continue being used. Now once you get past the sewer parts in level 2 with all the green ooze, you arrive in this place, which is more like a power plant. And it's pretty much the same thing, because once you fall onto these electric coils, it slows you down to the point where you're always getting hit and you have hardly any recovery time at all. And as I mentioned before, this game is a lot like Ninja Gaiden for the NES, where you as Batman have this wall jump. Now, the way this wall jump works is you just have to be next to the wall and press the jump button a second time. And I didn't realize this at first. I always pushed like the direction of the opposite way I wanted to jump, but that's not the case. You just have to press the jump button and Batman will automatically jump off the wall to like the next platform that you want to jump to. Now this is the point of the game where it starts to get really difficult, to the point where you gotta have at least 4 or 5 bars of health, because if you fall into these electric coils, you're gonna take 3 or 4 hits of damage alone. So you just gotta inch away, maybe. And there you go, I died, which makes continue number 2. Okay, now that I have more than 4 or 5 bars of health, I can probably get by this part. What you gotta do is you gotta jump on these kind of like floating walls here and wall jump off them. But as you can see, I'm not really doing a great job. But I have enough health where I can just kind of like fall into these electric coils and take the damage. But at this point, I had to try this so many times, I ended up using 2 more continues, which makes number 4. And now here we are at the end of stage 2, and let me say, this part is very difficult because you're in an area with conveyor belts and deadly spinning saw blades where, again, if you fall into them, it slows you down and you have no recovery time and you're just taking all the damage. But once you make it to the end of the level, you fight the second stage boss. Now this isn't really like your typical boss. This is just kind of like a room of 3 separate robots that you have to fight. The first one that's currently shooting at me right now, all you really have to do is just dodge the bullets. It's really easy to dodge. He shoots 2 up top and then 2 down bottom, so you just kind of easily jump and duck while you're shooting your bat dart gun at the thing, and eventually you will destroy it. Now the second part is this glowing blue orb that's standing right above me. What you do is you just get up top here and you want to like stand near that electrified fence thing area right here. And what you do is, again, you can just stand there and throw your 3-disc batarang thing and easily destroy it. Now the third part is this other blue orb that shoots 3 bullets at a time. But unfortunately my health is really low right now, so if I want to get close to it, I'm gonna die. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to hit it with my weapons from a far range. I'm trying to just determine the timing of the blast so I don't get hit, because as I said, if I take 1 more hit of damage, I will die. Okay, I'm not sure what to do really for the timing, so what I'm going to do is probably back up and maybe I can just hit it from afar. And now I'm out of bullets. So I really have no choice but to jump up there and try to beat it with my fists, I suppose. And I can't. So that makes continue number 5. Okay, here we are again at the second stage boss. Unfortunately, I have no weapons to fight this thing, so what I have to do is just get up close and try to beat this thing with my bare fists. Now, it's really kind of hard with the conveyor belts, so I'm always taking damage whenever I jump up to hit these cannons. But I got the first one, so let's get the second one and try to... Okay, so you die by simply touching it, which... Now I use continue number 6. Now I only made it to the second stage boss twice because of this jump right here. What you have to do is you gotta get very precise with the jumps on the first conveyor belt and jump across. And I started to get really frustrated, so I ended up using all 10 of my continues that I allowed myself. Now even though I couldn't beat the game within my 10 continue limit, I'm going to show you the rest of the game and its levels. Now level 3 is another sewer stage that uses the same recycled enemies as the first 2 stages, with one addition: this big hulking frog man, but he's easily defeated with just a few punches.
Now here's the third stage boss, and he's called the Electric Claw Man. And he gets that name probably because he just keeps shooting these large slashing projectile moves. But the great thing is he doesn't always shoot them at you, as you can see. So you can, if you get him like this, you can just kind of stay back and shoot him with whatever bat weapon you want, really. And that's what I'm currently doing. But now I'm probably gonna, so I'm gonna run out of bullets. So you just run up and punch him. He's really easy. Now stage 4 is yet another factory, and at this point it started to get a little repetitive, but it also started to get a lot difficult. So that, I was okay with that. But yeah, this is stage 4. It's just really another factory with more traps, more monsters, and just more trickier jumps. Now the stage 4 boss are these two robotic cubes that circle the room on these green pipeline things. But if you can get up here, they're actually really easy to defeat. All you really have to do is just stand on either one of these two platforms and duck, and you can constantly just punch them as they go by. It's pretty simple that it's laughable. And I noticed a common thing is the levels started to get really hard, but the bosses of each stage started to get a lot easier. And that's kind of a disappointment to me, but whatever. But as you can see, I defeated the level 4 boss, and I get a nice cutscene of the Batwing flying towards what looks like Count Dracula's castle, actually. But I know it's the clock tower from the movie, so with that will begin level 5. Now in level 5, they really turned up the difficulty. Just like in stage 2 with the green ooze and the electric coils, and in stage 3 with the spinning saw blades and the conveyor belts, these spinning gears will hurt you if you touch them. And that really stinks because there's a lot in this stage, to the point where some of them you just have to get hit by. Now the stage 5 boss is called the Bat Demon, and he moves incredibly fast, but if you learn his pattern, he's really one of the easiest bosses in the game. What he does is he shoots this giant fireball thing at you, but if you jump away from it towards the wall and jump back towards the Bat Demon, he'll jump away. So every time you jump at him, he'll jump away, giving you a chance to throw your bat disc or your bat gun. If you just keep repeating this method, as I'm doing right now, he is one of the easiest bosses in the game. Okay, now we're at the final boss of the game, which of course is the Joker. And I'll tell you right now, this is one of the hardest bosses I've ever fought. It took me several tries just to learn his pattern, where all he really does is just kind of run around the screen and he shoots lightning down for some reason. But if you know where to stand, you will not get hit by it at all. And really, you just gotta stay close to him and just constantly punch him till he finally goes down. And with that, you've finally beaten Batman for the NES. And you're rewarded with this cutscene that shows Batman holding the Joker and tossing him off the clock tower, which is a very dark and kind of disturbing ending. Nothing like the ending in the Batman movie that it's based on. So that's it. That's Batman for the NES. Unfortunately, I had to use more than 10 continues to beat this game.
Okay, so there you have it. There's the verdict. I was unable to beat Batman for the NES under the 10 continue limit that I gave myself. what can I say? I feel kind of embarrassed by it, but it was that second level and the jump and the boss of the second level. I just couldn't get by it. I ended up using 8 continues on just that one part. So, all I gotta say, Batman for the NES, this is a hard game, but it's a great game. I recommend this to everybody that has an NES, and especially anyone who loves Batman, because this is one of the greatest NES titles that I could possibly think of. And second to boot, it's one of the greatest Batman video games I've ever played. The only thing that could possibly beat this is Batman Arkham Asylum for the 360. So, but this is a great retro Batman game, one of the best games. That's all I really gotta say about this game. Is I highly recommend it. Please pick it up if you have an NES, and if you haven't tried it yet. It's just that good, and it's a hard one, so it'll definitely give you a challenge. So, there is episode 3 of Quickfreeze Versus. Sadly, I was not able to beat the Batman, but what can you do? Anyway, I'm Quickfreeze from Quickfreeze's Game Room, and I'm here to bring one gamer together, one game at a time.